Mr. Gibson, Reuben, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Rivers State Cassava Project Limited, has died while fleeing an attempted abduction at the Aleto Eleme Bridge in Eleme local government area. The incident occurred on Monday around 8:30 p.m. During the escape, the Toyota Hilux van carrying Mr. Reuben, a Dutch expatriate, veered off the road and plunged into the river. Mobile police personnel escorting him escaped. The River State Police Command, through Public Relations Officer SP Grace Ingirige Koko, confirmed the incident in a statement on Tuesday. Commissioner of Police Olugbenga Adekboju visited the scene with other police officers. The command's marine unit recovered Mr. Reuben's body and the vehicle from the river after a search. The police statement read, "The incident occurred on Monday, 13th January 2025 at about 8:30 at Aleto Eleme Bridge, where unknown gunmen ambushed Reuben's vehicle, causing him to lose control and crash into the river. The search party's effort resulted in the recovery of the lifeless body of the expatriate, Mr. Gibson Reuben, and the white Toyota Hilux van itself. CP Adepoju condemned the attack as barbaric and has launched a full-scale investigation, ordering the immediate arrest of the perpetrators. He appealed to residents for any information that could assist in apprehending the suspects. Well, now, we've had the rise of kidnapping in recent times. Just recently was a story yesterday, a story of another woman that was kidnapped and killed even after ransom was paid. What are your thoughts on this when you look at the state of security in the country?
See, we can't overemphasize the state of security and insecurity in this country. This will probably be the opt-in time. I would be talking about this, not just here, in different forums and all that. And each time you talk about it anew, it seems as if nothing has happened from the last time you had the opportunity of speaking about it, and it's sort of becoming still. But the thing is that it can't become still because this is something that bothers all of us. Do you understand? And then before I go back to the insecurity, and also when we talk about security of life and property, apart from the criminalities, the infrastructures we have or we don't have also contributes somehow to the insecurity of lives and property, not just from criminal element. Yes, it does contribute to how successful or otherwise criminal element can be, and also contribute to your state of security or otherwise. Because what matters to the average person is your safety, whether that's or your safety and it converse, whether that converse insecurity or unsafe that comes from criminal personnel or may really not matter much if the consequences is there as it is. Now, I said that to see this. That section of the East-West Road has remained a death trap for many years now, particularly that bridge, Aleto Bridge. This is not the first time a vehicle is plunging into that bridge. Unfortunately, over the years, nothing has been done. Yeah, it's fine for government. I mean, it sounds sweet. It's provide an escape route for government and officials to every time say, oh, there's these bridges we are built with handling and blah, 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 blah. And then maybe criminal elements and scavengers cut off those railing. Maybe that's just true. But that having been done, what is the way forward, as we would say in public balance? Can't we fix those railings? I'm saying this to say that perhaps if there was a barricade, just perhaps that vehicle wouldn't have plowed into the river. Something would have probably weighed that vehicle. And then the state of the road, if you are conversant with that axis of, it is not a fantastic place for somebody who is trying to escape. To drive through. So if we had a better road, maybe, just a maybe, we can't be sure, it's just an academic exercise. If we had a better road, probably this wouldn't have happened. It's also possible that those guys from the news, they laid an ambush on it. It's also possible that they choose the part of the road that would make an easy catch for them.
But since the part of that road is bad, so to make an easy catch, because of course you'd have to slow down while passing through that area.
Absolutely. So you see, when we talk about security and insecurity, apart from beefing up the security apparatus, the security men, improving security gadgets and others, there's also the part which infrastructure would probably play in ensuring that we are all safe. The roads which we ply is one of them. Having camera lights and all those things. Then back to the main security issue. You see, again, this has proven to the fact that short-term measures or stopgap measures may not always save the day. He had security personnel guarding him, but in this case, they failed to protect him. Now, this is not a minus to the security men. It is not to blame them at all. But what I'm trying to say is this, that you see, we are all better off if we have a system that have security for everybody than
for a selected few.
Absolutely, a selected few having escorts around them. Because even in the process, we should somehow be grateful that it only took that vehicle. In the process, out of frustration, they may even pick somebody else, another. So back to security, we can't overemphasize the need to improve security on our road. Yes, the security personnel may be doing a whole lot, but you see, improving security goes beyond what the individual security man does. It's a systemic thing. What is the system doing to improve security? What is the system doing to checkmate criminals? And because as this thing happened, and this is an expatriate, it means the news will not end there. And this is a system that is in their need of bringing in foreign investors. At this point, if you're a foreign investor and you hear this, you may not want to, you know, and this is a fantastic project the guy was handling, the Cassava Project, which could, you know, is an economic booster. I mean, it's a loss to everybody, not just to the guy. It's unfortunate this has to happen again, but again, it's a wake-up call for every one of us to, especially those in authority, to do more about security, and it covers insecurity, infrastructure and the security proper.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I mean, you've basically touched all of the angles of, you know, where my question structure was supposed to stem from. And I want to find out if where did kidnapping start? Kidnapping initially started from small games people were playing. Boko Haram came with their small games at that time. We had the, what's it called? Niger Delta militants, you know. But right now, kidnapping seems seemingly in the eyes of everybody in Nigeria has come to stay.
It's an industry.
It's an industry. It's a big field, right? It's a negative industry. It's a big field. This morning, Inspector General of Police was telling people, oh, you need to talking to youths in Imo State or so. You need to stay away from kidnapping. Kidnapping is the easiest way. Why do you think that has been a lucrative market? Now, you earlier mentioned security, but now looking at it from the perspective of individuals that even decide to go into this sort of, you know, trade, as it were. What extent is the motivation? Do you think it's because we get to pay, you know, pay the ransoms and the tickets? Then that's on one hand. On the other hand, why can't these people be traced? You know, we have the NIN, we have the BVN, we have all of these things. Why do you think this has, you know, grown and advanced to this point without it being caught just when it started?
Well, there are more answers than one, or more reasons than one why it has persisted and why people seem to motivate. First, let me say something from a part of the scripture. Talking of the scripture, I mean the Bible says if the punishment or something for a crime, I'm paraphrasing that, if the punishment for a crime is delayed, people's hearts are tilted to do evil. And how, you see, at times, the punishment may not be intentionally delayed. If the criminals are not caught and justice served, those that are criminally minded, one of the things, you know, off studio, we are discussing about self-preservation. Even the criminals want to preserve themselves. But one of the things that motivate them into going into this, or those that are criminally minded, is that if they have a higher chance of escaping, they would be motivated to do something. But if we have a system that, of course, some arrests here and there have been made, but if we have a system that the higher percentage of those who commit a particular crime would be arrested. Let's say kidnapping. If you have a system where maybe 90% of kidnap attempts either failed or those that even succeeded, the perpetrators were arrested, and not just arrested, justice was, you know, there's something we, back in school, studying one of our courses, then they say justice should not just be done, but must be seen to have been done. You know, so people should see it that, oh, this guy who was arrested, this was the end of it. If that happens, even parents would, if they suspect a child who is veering into criminality, they have examples to give to that child beyond his theory. You say, oh, you know, back in days when we are growing up, they would easily say, oh, if you do this, you will face the fate of Anini and another. But if all you see is those who went into questionable lifestyle coming out successful, driving flamboyant cars and all that, then they serve as a model to others. Unfortunately, that is not the kind of model we want in our society. Then another thing is that there is a general decay in morals in society.
Well, why do you think that is?
For more reasons than one. There is the economic part of the economic side of it. There is the general despondency amongst people. People are getting tired for whatever reason. Parents are not doing what they ought to do. People are getting negative influence and all that. Then there is also the system, the political system, which unfortunately is a very important factor in us, which in fact controls. When you talk about punishment, you know, this is the government, this is the security, they handle everything. So if they have not been up and doing, then some of these things would continue to happen. Unfortunately, nobody is as safe as even the person might think he is.
Right, because now you rightly said it, nobody is as safe, you know. This incident happened to people around us, people we know, people that are feelable,
that are
smellable,
not even as rich as
people that are not even as rich, because of it, from the story, the man was actually even driving himself. So it seems like, you know, a simple person.
Maybe the only difference now is that maybe the color of his skin, since he's an expatriate. I want to assume that he's a white. He has, you know, he's a white.
He's actually
guy
from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands have some, a few Africans with them, but in this case, maybe he's white. So
maybe he's white. That is why he was an easy target. Now, you mentioned something about economy and hardship and governance. I want us to break it a little bit down. When you look at all of this, do you think that, you know, parents haven't played their role properly? Now, when we look at parents, I want us to look at the sect from where children learn, because I was out somewhere on a mission, on a non-profit mission, and I remember asking the children, what do you want to be? And someone said, a boy looked at me in the face and said he would like to go into bunkering. Right, and I'm talking about children that JS1 and JS2, SS1 and SS2, because then the people for junior WAEC and WAEC were already out from school. Now, a child, maybe 14, looked me in the face and said he would like to go into bunkering. Now, these are the things, children actually are emulators of what they see, right? You rightly mentioned Anini. I remember my father talking about Anini with us when we were growing up and all of that. Do you think parents have failed in their job to instill lawfulness, as it were, in their children? Now, instilling of lawfulness, apart from the, you know, regular advice, the citing of why you shouldn't take an action. Many people say, don't do a bad thing, but they do not tell the children the why. Do you think that has played a role in this, you know, current decay we are facing? Because all of these people chasing after this man, trying to kidnap him, they are all people's children. They belong to a family system. You know, they have parents, some of them have siblings, and all of that. Do you think that the family, as it's where the parent structure of the family has failed in its foundation? That is why we have lots of people lay over on one hand. On the second hand of the questioning for this is economic hardship. Now, do you think that many of these people, some of them are actually very educated, but in job hunting and searching for jobs they are unable to find. Do you think this prevalent problem we've had in Nigeria with, unemployment and underemployment and also favoritism in workplaces, in that people will rather employ somebody that, is recommended by somebody, the whole Nigerian clause, you need to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody. Do you think all of that has played, in sending many young men, many youths, many promising people with several talents? Nigerians are very talented people, but people have started looking more into crime than putting their talents and knowledge to good use. Do you think that has also played a role?
Yeah. In some cases, it could be remote causes for criminality, and it could also be, well, you see, when you talk of the individual with respect to this particular guys, whoever they are, you don't know what their motivation were. But when you talk about society generally, of course, yes, employment and underemployment may have led to an increase in criminality. However, I would like to say to each person, they are not good enough reason to get into crime. It also depends on what we are made of. Some of us come from background here, our parents, no matter how much they went through, they dare not take a kobo.
Right, that was why I asked first about your thoughts as regards to if parents are actually playing this role, that because when you grow up, when a child is growing up, they grow up by what they see, what they hear, what the values from home.
Yes, but the values from home can also be threatened by what is happening in society. For example, the little boy you mentioned that said he wants to go into bunkering. It's possibly he knows one brother in the street, they say that guy in a bunker, maybe exactly. The guy drives a car. And since the average human mind wants good things, that boy may not even know the criminality involved in bunkering. He may just think it's a profession. You just think that, the guy who does this gets money. But assuming that guy, back to what I said before, if the delay is of a crime or a sin, is the punishment is delayed, assuming that guy has been arrested or dealt with, or society condemn him, that young boy would probably know that, this is not
the right way to go.
The right way to go. This is what faces me if I go through this route. So there is a general societal failure. There's a general societal failure. Of course, we all make up the society. Parents largely failing. Of course, there are people who are also outstanding in doing what they should do and even guiding their children from the corrupting influences in the world, in our society. But for how long can an individual parents hold out? So it's a collective thing. The parents need to do their part from the home front. The society need to do its part. The government need to do its part. I don't like to overemphasize or overblame religious institutions and other, but truth be said, when you talk about morality and other,
I think religious institutions should be involved.
There's actually a whole lot.
Because if you look at the structure of an upbringing of a child, they spend their times in 3 places the most. They spend their time at home with family. They spend their time at places of religious worship. Depends
on the particular child. What I've seen in recent time, there are children whose parents, that's also another part of parental failure, whose parents does not introduce
any form of religious worship to them.
Absolutely, or even moral. In fact, they even fear that taking you to this place may culture your life in such a way that makes you not, the euphemism for criminality is smart. So they want to raise a smart child. That's just a euphemism for criminal-minded child. They don't want the child to be a thief or a pickpocketer, but they want a child that, they use the word smart, that if he has the opportunity, he can make good of it. What opportunity are they talking about?
Now, one last one before we go to the next topic. You talked about what is the fate of Nigeria given President Tinubu is always talking about, the need for foreign investors to come in, Do you think the state of kidnapping all over Nigeria, it's all over Nigeria, do you think it is acted as a factor that has hindered investors and Nigerian growth, as it were?
Yeah, it's a factor, but not the only factors. Okay. Infrastructural decay, unfavorable business climate, so many other things, but definitely this is one of them. If you're an investor, you don't make a decision to invest or not to invest on one factor.
alone.
You consider the business environment, you consider your possibility of making profit and perhaps repatriating your profit. It's one thing to have a business that make profit. It's another thing for you to be able to hold your profit. Then your safety while doing the business. Yeah, your business can thrive. Yeah, the business environment may be fine. Yes, there may be market there. But what of my safety? If I'm not safe, I'll think twice before
investing in that business.
Yeah, except I will invest through a proxy. Another, but if I have to go in person, my safety matters. So they all join together with many other factors too. By the way, the talk for foreign investors precede this.
Yeah.
I remember from 1999 when former President Obasanjo came to power. That's one of the things he was all about, traveling all over the world looking for foreign investors.
Right, but then there were not as many kidnappers as we have now, and security wasn't as bad. The economic and inflation wasn't as bad as it is now.
Well, it's negatively progressing. We had our challenges then, but
it has progressed rather negatively. Thank you so much for your insight on that.